Hey, good morning, Nick. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to do this research suite showcase, and I'm glad to have you on today.
Yeah,
Normally it's just
I've been looking
me.
forward to it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
normally it's just me, but everyone's saying they want to hear someone else too. So that's why you're here. So awesome. So what we're going to do today is I will go over here. Okay. So we're going to be doing a live webinar for any new products and features that QuestionPro has released on the Research Suite. And then also we will be kind of talking about periodically some things that are coming up in 2023, or at least the first part and where our thinking is at. If you have questions, put them in the comments on whatever platform you are viewing this webinar on. And then Mark, the marketing person we have running the board, will be relaying those questions to us, and then we can definitely answer those as they come up. If we can't get to them today, we'll definitely follow up with an answer for you there. So without further ado, let's continue on here. So I am Dan Fleetwood. I'm the president of Research and Insights here at QuestionPro. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And Nick, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Nick Freiling. I'm the director of InsightsHub. It's an insights repository product, but I'm a big fan of our whole product suite. Dan probably knows it all a little better than I do, but yeah, here I'll present, especially on InsightsHub, probably near the end.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that. And make sure you follow Nick on LinkedIn as well. He's constantly posting updates, and I aspire to be like Nick on LinkedIn. So,
Yeah, I love LinkedIn.
yeah, awesome. So, why don't we go ahead and we'll get right into it here. So, the agenda today is to discover the Question Pro Research Suite. I'll talk a little bit about the product mix that we have and why we acquired a company called DigSite and how that fits in, and talk a little bit about how we're shaping this into 2023. And then we'll go into the product showcase. So I'll talk about some of the research products. Nick will come in for an in-depth look at InsightsHub, and then we'll do an open Q&A session towards the end. So feel free to get those questions in. As I mentioned, we did have some questions submitted before the webinar today. So we do have some questions that we'll answer and probably mix in some of these as we go on. So what I'll do is let's jump right into it and talk about the Research Suite footprint. So what we see is, a collection of 6 products here that really help out researchers in every aspect of the research that they need to conduct, from a research edition, which is our the survey platform, and this has everything, all the question types from MaxDiff, Conjoint, Van Westendorp, text highlighter, to new question types like our live cast, which is a video type question, to even advanced logic and also reporting capabilities as well. So this is the top tier survey solution that we offer. And then we also have communities, which, as we've been um, showcasing in the platform for a number of years now, but really allows you to manage hyper engaged communities of your brand's top performers or promoters. And then also you can use the research edition to survey them. So it's a really nice ecosystem of products there. And then we have QualSite, which is, so we acquired this company called DigSite, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. We are rebranding that and retooling and essentially launching a new version of that. We're calling it QuestionPro QualSite. So I'll talk more about that in terms of what DigSite is, what QualSite is, and how that fits in. We'll talk about that more towards the end. But really, what we saw with the acquisition of DigSite is that we were really strong in the quantitative space and somewhat in the qualitative space on communities with a few of the modules. But we really wanted to help out with more of the qualitative effort and wanted to get more into agile quals. So with acquisition of DigSite, this really rounds out our product offering from not only a quantitative side, but we also have a qualitative side now as well that really helps out. And again, we are here for the researchers and insights professionals, and that's what we're here to do, is to help really give you more features, functionality, and things that you need in your day-to-day. And then also Insights Hub, which Nick will talk about. It's a data repository knowledge management system, and this helps fit in. So once you collect the data, where does it live? What do you do with it? How does it continue to work? And how do you continue to get those insights from it? Nick will talk extensively about that, so I won't belabor that point here. We also have a services arm that fits in with everything. If you need help from programming to full end-to-end research, we offer this as well. With the acquisition of DigSite, we now offer qualitative researchers as well and access to that. So really full end-to-end services there from anything that you would need. And then we have our audience, and this is over 22 million plus with networks of partners that we reach out to. And if you don't have, obviously you need sample and to fill studies, and we have that here for you as well. So this is another offering. We also have some features within audience that are integrated into the platform, like our self-service audience platform, which I'll talk a little bit more about. And then we have some auxiliary products here, like Instant Answers, which is a Slack integration that I'll also get into. So all of these, 6 product/service offerings make up the Research Suite footprint, and will be what we're diving into today. So quick check. So this is the product showcase, which we'll be covering here. And these 6 products/services. So first I wanted to start out with Research Edition and talk about some of the new features and functionalities that we've come out with on Research Edition, and also where we're thinking about taking this product into 2023 and what are some of those major trends. I would say the first one here is data quality. We, as an organization at QuestionPro, have thought a lot about data quality and what we can do to help negate this on surveys. And we see this as not only an opportunity for us, but a way to come through for clients and to help out the quality of their surveys. I think your data at the end is only as good as the data that was collected. So we want to make sure that we can weed out, and not only from bias, but also scammers, bots, everything. So we've been putting a lot of effort into data quality, which I'll talk about here as well. And even going into 2023, we're focused on how do we combat a lot of the chat bots and things like chat GPT come up, and how do we look at that, and how do we help protect surveys and our clients against those things. So these are all things that we're thinking about, and I'll talk about some more specific things that we released in data quality. Extraction. So this is the type of logic that many researchers use on surveys, and we took a step back and said, hey, what do we need to get in to really make extraction the best in class? And so we did that, and I'll be showcasing that coming up. Another thing we've been thinking about is what can we do around collaboration? We understand that insights teams more and more are working collaboratively on surveys, and we want to be at the forefront of that as well. It's something that we're thinking about not only from the permission at a permission level, but also from an org and day-to-day working. How can we make that easier and more seamless? I'll show you some things that we did there. And then edit survey collaboration kind of rolls into this, where if there's more than one person on the survey, you need to know that. And we've come up with some unique ways to showcase that and to highlight that. And then survey preview 2.0. So this is more of the traditional preview that we had in the platform, taking this a step further and giving you more control so that you can essentially test out or preview exactly what you want to, and also the ability to share that with others. So let's dive into each one of these a little bit more. So data quality, over the past few years, we've been really putting a lot of investments and resources into data quality, and not only from duplicate IP checks to gibberish words, duplicate responses, one-word answers, if all checkboxes are selected, pattern responses, speed traps. We also have quality terminates here, so you can enable that and terminate based on the quality here. And what we've also come out with here is the ability to be able to terminate or flag responses if they answered any combination of these. So maybe one-word answers isn't enough, but if you pair one-word answers with things like pattern responses and you want to terminate based on that, these are all things that you can do in a survey. I know what we're releasing very soon is copy and paste, and then also so it'll be able to detect if someone copy and pasted a survey. And then also, as I kind of alluded to previously, we're really thinking around chat GPT, and it's really early on. I've been seeing more and more about this recently, but we're thinking about how can we add some checks in here to make sure that people aren't using these automated chatbots and automated AI functionality to answer the surveys. So we want to be at the forefront of that So we're really thinking a lot around, data quality and different things that we can do. Also working on getting more and more into the platform. So it's something that we're continuing to think about. We have a meeting every week with, Tim Cornelius, and we go over these different things, and just to make sure we're staying at the forefront here. Another thing is extraction. So this is a type of logic we've had forever inside of QuestionPro Research Edition. But we took a step back and said, hey, what are the 7 things here that we need to do to increase the functionality and really make it more user friendly? And what we did is we introduced all of these things, from a locked extraction with an NA option, extraction using image chooser. So now if you have an image, that image will also extract into the next question, whatever question you selected. If that is either selected, that image is selected, or not selected, whatever those options are, those images will follow suit into the additional extracted questions. So allow, always extract, never extract different options, allow multiple extraction types from the same source question. So this is interesting because now you can do, different question types from that same source question. Modify extraction, logic mapping, and editing. You can also do locked extraction with matrix questions, piping, other options, support for extraction. So if it's, if you have an other answer option, someone types it in, that answer will extract to the next question. So really took the, the 7 things, in this case it's 7, but more on a larger scale, took a step back and said, hey, what do we need to get into extraction to really make it, as I said, best in class? Another thing related to this is, survey preview 2.0. So this is, taking the traditional survey preview and taking it a step further. So the ability to, if you're using blocks within your survey, you can jump to a specific block and see how that looks to a respondent. If you're using URLs or URL variables, that is, and you want to see how that particular custom variable looks in, or how it functions rather within a survey. Maybe you have show hide logic based on it. Maybe it's a specific path based on that URL variable. You can test out those things simply by putting that in, and it'll mimic that as well. Being able to take off page breaks, logic, and also any validation, so you can really test out the look and feel of the survey without having any of those features that you've enabled in the survey, without those being any limitation, and you can just breeze right through it. So really trying to make this more efficient for researchers and also stakeholders when they are previewing surveys. And to that point, we did a lot with really around collaboration, and we took a look at how research professionals and insights professionals work on a day-to-day basis and getting a survey completed. And oftentimes it's like, when you're working on a Google Doc or in Word collaboratively, you want multiple people in that survey and adding questions, editing. And so that's what we did here. So we worked so that now multiple people can be in a survey. You can see when someone's in a particular question, so you know not to go into that, and you can work on a different part of the survey. So this is really a way that you can collaborate on a survey inside of the workspace. And this is at the beginning. We're always thinking about collaboration. I think that is one of the themes that we're going to continue thinking about into 2023. So this feature is live and available now on the Research Edition license here. So coming up, a few things. I mean, this is not a comprehensive list, but some other things we're thinking specifically about in terms of SPSS, improving that functionality when you want to export an SPSS file, providing more support for some different question types. But I would say more so analysis is a key component that we're thinking about, and what can we do to improve the analytical functionalities within QuestionPro, and also in the analysis tab, like what can we do to improve that, both from a UI standpoint, but also more specifically with categorical text analysis. We're working on a new AI machine learning engine here that also does not only from a broader sense, but also can look at different libraries within industry. So if it's CPG or automotive or banking, and it learns the different open-ended functionality or open-ended responses and what those mean across different verticals. So training the library by vertical is something that we're focused on that we think will yield better results for our clients. So that's something that we are really thinking about and improving the categorical text analysis of the tool. And then also crosstabs. So I know there was a question earlier around what improvements have you made? Are you making to crosstabs? We've done a lot of improvements to crosstabs, like we've introduced grouping in crosstabs, we've updated the UI, introduced some other functionality there. But now we're going into 2023. What we're thinking about and what we're going to be implementing is additional confidence intervals. So 90, 95, 99%. Custom variables, ability to use those within a crosstab, top box, bottom box. So things like that we're going to be implementing as well to make crosstabs again one of the best in class out there. And then something else that's coming up in early 2023, probably in January actually, is matrix question. Typically or traditionally rather, we had a spider chart on there, and the spider chart is helpful, but really what clients want is more of a heat map table view. So this is something that we're releasing on the matrix questions early in 2023, and it's scheduled for January, in fact. So these are things, analysis. Some are more complex, like the text analysis and those libraries and engines that we're working on. To other ones like the matrix questions, we're definitely listening to feedback and getting those in, and also on crosstabs as well. So hopefully, whoever answered that question on what improvements have you made to crosstabs, hopefully that works out and that is what you're after. If you have any other suggestions, feel free to reach out to me or your account customer success manager, and they will definitely be able to help you out. All right, so getting into communities here. Really, communities, we're focused on a lot of things. So this is a kind of a little bit of a comprehensive list, and some of these might be even ones that I covered in our August product roundup, but I wanted to go over these again because they are important, and I know sometimes it takes a little bit of repetition for things to come through, or it needs to hit you at that right point in time. So a lot of these, like the webhook, new endpoints for deletion verification, alias, for survey names to be displayed in the portal, so that way you can mask anything that's confidential that you don't want getting out ahead of time. Roles and permissions, so now you can have specific roles and permissions inside of communities for sub accounts. So if someone doesn't need access to, let's say, being able to see and view the members, but they only need to send out surveys to the members, those are different roles and permissions that you can set up. We also have member profile logs, so you can, now there's a log of the profile changes within particular members. So if they change something, it's logged, and you can go back and you can view that. And also expiration time for verification links. The next one is actually, I'll cover it a little more, but the moderator view on video discussions. This was a key component that we came out with on video discussions, so I'll talk more about that. We also have smart reminders. So being able to do things like reminding only groups that where the quota isn't filled on communities, we can do things like that with our smart reminders that we came out with. Geotagging signups, so the ability to either limit or include by geo. So those are things that we can do. Password reset using phone number. So, and then remove survey access. So if someone doesn't need to take the survey after all, you can just remove that one person. So some of these are larger and where we see the product going. Some are smaller, more nuanced items that have an impact based on efficiencies and workflows and different feedback that we've gotten, from clients. So some of these things, so the roles and permissions, I talked a little about this. You can set this up in the admin section, and you can set different roles and customize those based on your industry or your company. So you can see the different tabs here from the community, the distribute, incentives, the modules, analytics, and you can select within each one of those what you want to allow access to. So that's the roles and permissions. Viewer mode and video discussions. This is more of like the back room and a traditional focus group. So this is a link that you can give out to stakeholders, and they can come in here. They can view the video discussion. They can comment. They can not only with each other, but also with the moderator if they, or the moderator if they want them to hone in on a specific area. Only the moderator sees that. So it's definitely much, aligned to the traditional focus group and giving access to it. When we first released video discussions during, the pandemic, or early in the pandemic, this was one of the most requested features. So we got this done, and it definitely makes this module more user-friendly and more usable, in fact. So that is something that we have now. And then a regional-based signup. So this is largely helping to make the community, more secure and limiting outside signups. So if you only want people, let's say within the United States or Canada or UK, you can easily select that. And we check based on signup, we check their IP address, and based on that, we either include them or exclude them. So that's something that we offer as well. And then, so what's coming up in early 2023? What are we thinking about? So one of the things that we want to do is we have this great communities app, and it's white labeled for clients. We can do that, but we want to be able to drive more people to it and just bring the awareness of the app up, because we see that communities with an app have significantly higher percentage of not only engagement, but also, survey completions and things, and largely due because it's top of mind. People get the push notification and so forth. So we want to do more to push people to the app in cases where the app is available. So having a QR code with on sign up and making that a little more visible, not only on sign up or when they're logging in, but also inside of the portal, are things we're working on. Looking at our referrals and how that process works, the refer a friend module is what we call it, and using more social media and updating that. Community settings and categorization revamp. So this is more on the admin side, but how can we improve some of the user flow there? Anonymization of members in the community. So this is something that comes up quite a bit. Like, hey, all I need to know about my members is their profile. I don't need to know any, PII information about them. So this is something that we're thinking about and going to be working on in early 2023. Along with revamping the community health dashboard, we want to be able to take more of that metadata that we have and bubble that up and give clients access to that. And then, along with that, some new dashboards and metrics charts in the analytics section here. So that's a lot of, some of the things we're thinking about in 2023 on communities, and definitely, we'll continue to keep folks updated as these things are released. Okay, next, and then we'll have Nick come on here, is a few slides on audience and self-service, specifically self-service and instant answers here. So what we did is there's a self-service within QuestionPro that you can upload credits to. You can select your audience, send it out. It gets sent out, via API to some panels, and then those results come back in, obviously automatically, and then you can analyze those. So it really makes it easy and seamless. You don't really even need to talk to us unless you have some specific questions. There's a whole interface for selecting, your particular audience. So we have this, we've made it more user-friendly with doing things like being able to soft launch a project, being able to share different folders within this, so that way, again, more of your teams can, more of your team members can come in and access it. So in increasing the collaboration functionality of the platform, the ability to refund unused credits. So some things more on the admin side there. So these are things. So definitely, check it out. It's a tab within the dropdown on the upper left navigation, and feel free to check it out if you have questions about self-service audience and that tool. Definitely reach out to your account manager or your customer success manager, and they'll be more than happy to show you. But we've been making a lot of improvements here. Another another product within audience that we've released is instant answers. This is a really cool Slack integration that we have, where you can add it to a channel, and then you can go in there, you can type in your question, type in your answer options, select the audience that you want. If it's 10, 50, 150 people to 300, you can ask the different location. And then from there, we send out automatically create the survey, send it out, and you get the results back within minutes. So we use it extensively internally. There's also, media ad companies that are using this along with some consumer packaged goods companies, and using it just to get quick answers on things that maybe you don't need a whole survey. You just need one question, easily send it out. And what gets returned is a nice graph like this. And you can use this in presentations. You can slap it in social media, whatever you want to do here. These are all things that we can do for inside of the Slack integration. So if you want to use this, definitely reach out to your customer success or your account manager, and we can, give you access to this and have you use it. It's a great tool. It's something that's not only engaging, but also really allows for that agile nature and getting things in the platform quick, or in getting those insights quickly, rather. So I think with that, Nick, we can turn it over to you. I'll drive here, but just let me know when you want to advance.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. A lot of the updates you've just highlighted are things that I've kind of subconsciously thought about, but thought there's no way we can do that. So it's really cool to see that happening. It's like, especially the kind of categorical text analysis. It's something like
Yeah.
for years, it's just, I haven't even really formulated how that would look, because it would be valuable, but it seems like a big reach. But it's really cool to see you guys working on this stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So
Yeah.
let's.
So yeah, I can go get ahead, get started. So I'm the director of InsightsHub. This is our Insights repository product. Now, I talk to a lot of teams that use different names. Some teams are looking for a knowledge base or a knowledge management system. It is those things as well. It's even a project manager, which we'll go over. It's actually a very effective project manager. It's not kind of how we brand it or how we talk about it a whole lot, but there's a lot of features built in that make project management built for insights very, very easy. But as you can see on the screen, quick access to insights, having all of your data, all of your research, all of your insights in one database makes it really easy to filter, sort, and search for what you're looking for. We find a lot of teams, they have a big need for this kind of when it's too late. They'll come to me, they'll say they have, maybe 800 projects that they've done over the past few years, and they never go back and look at it because it's not organized. It's difficult to search. It's not indexed. And so what happens is they, they're looking for a solution like InsightsHub. It's a perfect solution for that use case. But like I said, it's also, because you can add, grant permissions to different users, as you see on the screen, analytics and easily manage kind of multivariate research data across projects. It does become kind of a project manager, kind of a project enhancer. Because again, you have all of your insights in one place. It becomes really easy to kind of say, what don't we know, or what do we know about this topic? And then, by virtue of that, what don't we know? Identify research gaps, because you can straight up, search, do we have any research on, what a certain demographic group, say males or college age males, think about our product? Have we ever done a study on that? Maybe not, but you may have done two separate studies about, perceptions of your product or perceptions of your brand. And you've done studies, that segmented that by age or by demographic group. All of a sudden, you can kind of pull together data from across your kind of repertoire of research, to see, what do you know that you maybe didn't know you knew. So on the next slide, we're going to highlight one particular feature. It's called Stories. So Stories, as you can see, facilitates kind of effortless democratization of narrative cross-project findings. So that GIF there, it moves a little quickly, but the idea is that because, again, you have all of your data in one place, you can build kind of these pieces of content, or really it's a deliverable for some users, that integrates findings from across your research, across your body of research. So you can reference, 4, 8, 100 projects in one deliverable if you'd like, to do things. So I used to work at an agency, and we weren't able to do this, but you can do things like, deliver a report or some type of deliverable to your client, that says, hey, you didn't ask for kind of an analysis of the project we did a year ago, 6 months ago, and the one we just completed for you, as one kind of cohesive, narrative, insights narrative, looking at trends, looking at what we learned across these three separate, very separate sometimes projects. But now, because we have this data in one place, because we've been linking insights together across projects, we can deliver a report like what you see on the screen that links or pulls together insights from across really your entire body of research. On the next slide, it's another feature we released a little more recently called workflows. Every team works differently. If I've learned anything talking to, I don't know, 100 probably different research or insights teams this year, it's that workflows are far from kind of standardized in this industry. That's fine. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll even get more kind of diverse. But it's really important. We learned early on that when you're using an insights repository like this, that you're able to customize the workflow of these projects for your particular team. So some teams kind of, they'll have a status and it's queued. They put a project in queued status, as it's being reviewed by a manager or by someone on the quality control team. Maybe it's with the client. So you can update the status of your projects as you go along, and then take kind of a bird's eye view and say, where are all of our research projects at, whether it's a survey, whether it's a qualitative interview project, whether it's secondary research, what does the funnel look like? What projects need attention? Maybe you see a project that's been in that queued status for 8-9 weeks. It's like, what's going on? The client hasn't reviewed it. They haven't got back to you. It just gives you a better sense, again, because everything's in one place. Kind of a bird's eye view of where all of your projects are currently, what needs your immediate attention, and what's going well, what needs to be kind of kicked along the road. But it's called workflows. And again, it's customizable, not just by InsightsHub or by team, but also by project program. So InsightsHub really is supposed to be a solution for your entire brand. It's something your insights team uses, but marketing, product development, even your executive team can access this platform and take a look at particular programs, and particular research programs may have different workflows, depending on what the program is all about. You can customize those workflows also by the program itself. Next slide, yet another feature, this is about which I just talked about, just mentioned, is democratizing your insights across your organization. So InsightsHub has the tools you need to share and apply insights across every department. One of the big points of feedback we got, not feedback on the product, but just during my conversation with insights teams, is that they do have, let's say they have a shared drive, or maybe they have some type of knowledge base, but other members of their team or their organization, maybe they don't have a login, or they just never look at it, or it's just very difficult to find, difficult to analyze, difficult to understand what project belongs where, whether this is relevant, whether this was done this year, whether it was done in 2015. It needs to be easier for insights teams to democratize, to push out those insights to everybody that might benefit from them. And what I think is awesome is I see users think, hey, there are teams at our brand, at our organization, that could make a lot more use of the insights than they currently do. Frankly, maybe it's a team we never report to. Maybe it's somebody on the marketing or the branding team that overlaps with insights here and there, but could benefit a lot by just having more visibility into what it is our insights team is doing every day. That's what InsightsHub is about, because everything, again, is in one place. It's free, unlimited access for anyone at your organization to come and look at the repository. Because that's now possible and everything is organized. It's not asking someone to go dig into a shared drive or a SharePoint. That's usually pretty messy. I know that because I see a lot of teams, they show me what they're working with, and I'm like, I fully understand why you want a knowledge base that's built for insights, and that's really what InsightsHub is. Next slide is the workflows, which we talked about before. This is kind of zoomed. This on the screen there shows you the definition of a particular project, what this project is, how it's categorized, and then how that fits into, again, the workflows I talked about before. So you define a project once you kick it off. One thing I always say during InsightsHub demos is that it's impossible just to kind of throw something in InsightsHub, say, I'll categorize it later, I'll stick it in a workflow later, I just want to get it in there. The reason for that, and I've had teams say that's kind of frustrating, the reason for that is because I have seen way too many knowledge bases, shared drives, SharePoints that become a mess very quickly. So this is optimized for insights workflows. When you add something to InsightsHub, you add it to a project or you add it as a project. This makes it kind of basically, I think, guarantees that if, let's say, your research, one of your researchers leaves, the researchers that were working on a particular project or a particular kind of research program inside of InsightsHub, if they leave, if the teams kind of get reshuffled, I know this past year has been a lot of reshuffling. this stuff is organized. It's like a second brain, I call it, for your insights team. Everything that has been added to InsightsHub is organized, is categorized. We've made it very difficult for it kind of to turn into a mess. It should be, if you're using it, the way that we intend, the way that we support our users, it should be crystal clear what's going on, what projects are about, how you can push projects along that are kind of falling off the workflow, what teams even are doing really well. There's an activity feed that also shows you the types of researchers that are working on which types of projects, how often they're working on them. It's really 100% visibility into your insights workflows. Next slide. Awesome. So diving deeper into data. So InsightsHub is not about looking at your raw data, like raw survey data. Dan had just kind of talked about the ways our built-in kind of survey analysis tools help you dive into, segmented crosstabs or even, kind of industry categories for open-ended answers. InsightsHub is not about kind of slicing and dicing raw data. It's about narrative data. You can add data sets. You can add raw data sets to InsightsHub. You can pull in findings to InsightsHub. But the idea is it helps you kind of synthesize your research across your entire body of research. What you see on the screen there is an interview notepad. So you can conduct or you can record interviews in InsightsHub. And then because you're having all that data live in one place, you can highlight it, turn it into key findings, add it to knowledge graphs, tag it certain ways. Really, the idea is that because, again, you have all of this narrative insights in one place, you can uncover insights that you didn't really even know you had. That's our goal. We want to make it really easy to stay organized, to be more efficient, but also because everything is in one place, it would be a complete missed opportunity if we didn't turn that into a way for teams to discover insights or research gaps that they didn't know existed, trends that they didn't see because they weren't looking for them. Those types of things are possible and they happen in InsightsHub because everything is now in one place. This is really kind of an evolution we're seeing a lot of teams, I think, because there are so many amazing data gathering apps out there like QuestionPro surveys, like communities. The volume of insights and data that these teams kind of house in their share drive is just like blowing up, especially the past few years. I used to work in an agency. We probably tapped into like maybe 2 or 3% of all the data that we gathered. A lot of times, our clients were interested in answering like 4 or 5 specific questions. But we had, millions of survey responses in our database. Just never really had the time to look into how to kind of leverage that into something to enhance our workflows, enhance our deliverables, because it was such a mess. So that's really what this is about, having everything in one place. Last slide here is knowledge graphs to analyze cross-project findings. So this is the last slide in the section. It's my favorite feature in InsightsHub. Maybe I should have put it first. But they allow users to identify trends and themes across multiple projects. So I've mentioned that a few times, but this is how it happens. So as you're tagging items inside of a research project to a knowledge graph, it'll generate a graph like what you see on the screen. It'll show you how many times a particular project has been linked to a knowledge graph, which is really a higher level idea. So this one here says too expensive. So anytime you see in your InsightsHub, a consumer or a respondent mention the idea that, this product is too expensive or something like that, or it costs too much, or I can't afford it. You tag that to a knowledge graph, which it's kind of an umbrella kind of theme library that sits over top of your projects. And what happens is over time, it will show you the other knowledge graph, the graphs that are paired with this knowledge graph that overlap with it. So on this screen, it's a little hard to see, but on the right side of the screen, it'll say, hey, maybe it says 89% of the time that a project is linked to the idea of too expensive. It's also linked to the knowledge graph of millennials, or it's also linked to the knowledge graph of pet owners. So then all of a sudden you have this kind of insight that shows you, hey, for whatever reason, pet owners think our product is too expensive. We've never done a project on that particular topic. We've never studied the overlap of how, pet owners think about willingness to pay. But because we've done projects on both of those themes independently, there's no reason why we can't pull together those insights and then generate basically a meta insight showing you how they overlap. It could be an opportunity for follow-up research, or it straight up answers the question that it straight up shows you a question and then answers it for you. So that's what I'm most excited about. We're going to kind of integrate over the next few months some more kind of AI smart features into this particular feature. Ideally creating these knowledge graphs on the fly, so you can type in something like willingness to pay. It'll create a knowledge graph for you and show you the overlap, of people that say the product is too cheap or too expensive without you having to tag that kind of along the course of your research. So really excited about that. I love this product. I'm, digging into it every day, demoing it all the time. I'm always happy to show more.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, that's really exciting. The knowledge graph is really interesting. And I think really what kind of can bring everything together with creating those stories that you mentioned. And then also, I think the workflows is a cool feature because it helps teams be more efficient as well, as we talk about how can
Yeah.
become more collaborative and more efficient in that. It
Yeah.
definitely helps out with that, right?
Yeah, it syncs up really nicely with what you guys are doing on the survey side with more collaboration. I will say
Hmm.
with workflows in particular, I see way too many teams that they have like, the data collection app, they have a shared drive, and then they have like a project management app. And I know researchers don't like just typing in information across all three just to map stuff back and forth.
Hmm.
It should kind of be automatic because they should be researching, not, making sure stuff is named the right thing. So yeah, that's really what this is about too, is pulling the project management together with things like QuestionPro surveys, with things like communities, in a way that's built for insights, which again, like I see a lot of teams using apps that aren't optimized for insights. They may work, they may be great project managers or great repositories, but not great for insight specific insights workflows.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Awesome. Well, don't go anywhere. There may be some more questions coming up in Q&A. So I just have one more thing that I wanted to cover with QualSight. So we acquired, as I mentioned, we acquired DigSite at the end of August and have been working to, this get the platform back up and running, which it is, and clients are using it and conducting their research on DigSite. So we're keeping DigSite active, but we're also rebuilding, taking the best of what is in DigSite and bringing that into what we're calling QuestionPro QualSight, and that is the existing DigSite functionality. We'll also be adding to it as we continue to develop this new platform. But essentially, it's not only an update, it's taking the best of what's there, also adding to it, making some improvements. And that's what you see here. So really, it's an agile qual research platform that bolts on nicely with our research suite. So it's a mix of course, surveys, whiteboarding, voting, open-ended research to derive the perfect, qualitative insight, and clients from banking to CPG to insurance are all using the DigSite QualSight platform. And we also have integrated videos, so you can conduct unmoderated live interviews and have this as part of the workflow where you can do a 1 to 2 day study, have respondents come in, answer questions. You can have prerequisites, so that way they answer specifically, questions that are relevant to them and that link up to their behavior. And you can have them, conduct or have them rather submit these videos with open-ended, more conversational tasks that you can have as part of the the campaign and the workflows there. And then at the end, you can get interactive smart dashboards. So the qualitative reporting capabilities that we have on QualSight are, in fact, I would say, really advanced and unique to our platform in getting these analytics out. So not only do we have heat mapping and hotspot, but we have particular word like a fill in the blank, and you can do some word analysis with that. So the smart dashboards are downloadable in multiple formats, of course, and you can essentially download it and it's ready to go there from a look and feel standpoint. So we have this platform. We also, and one thing that is a little unique in that we have the platform that's DIY here, but we also have researchers that can do the moderation, the discussion guides, the reporting, all to help out with those insights teams. So more to come here, but just wanted to take a minute and talk about sort of the DigSite and the new platform that we're creating, QuestionPro QualSight, that's taking the best of what DigSite has to offer and putting it into this new platform. We'll keep both platforms running concurrently for the foreseeable future while we're building this new platform, QuestionPro QualSite. So more to come. Wanted to give a sneak peek there and get people introduced to what we're doing and how we see this fitting in. Again, we're only at the tip of the iceberg here. We really see that this is more of our qualitative offering to help out researchers in every step of their workflows and what they do each day. So Q&A, we did have some questions come up here, and I know there was one that I wanted to address because it's a good question here from IV. She says, does the team collaboration also allow multi-window self-collaboration? Sometimes I want to see multiple QuestionPro tabs and I'm not able to. I think this is something that was out of scope for what we released when being able to go to essentially the workspace or the edit survey and having multiple team members go into there and edit the survey. But this is definitely in scope for something that we're thinking about in 2023, because I know this is how people, are using QuestionPro and they want to do this, but they can't right now. So Ivy, I would say, hang tight. It's definitely something that we are thinking about. And I know there were some additional questions on crosstabs there around being able to allow reordering of columns, geocode, country, complete filters, instead of creating questions act as filters. These are things we're thinking about. I think some of these, what I mentioned earlier with, some of the different using custom variables and things like that, being able to make, crosstabs more user-friendly. So again, these are things that we're thinking about and, want to improve the experience even more on crosstabs and come through there for you. So those are some things that we are also thinking about. I know we had some other questions that were submitted ahead of time. We can probably answer a few of those here. Nick, one question that I saw submitted and has come up is, for InsightsHub, what are some of the challenges in getting this implemented within an organization and getting adoption? Maybe if you can spend a few minutes talking about that and what you come up against and how you would combat that.
Yeah, great question. That is something that a lot of times, we'll get well down the road with the client, talk about InsightsHub. All of a sudden, they realize that there is some work they have to do to make this work for them. I would say this: that even if let's say you're running an Insights team, even if you don't think that you guys have rules or like a taxonomy, if you think you're just kind of throwing projects into a shared drive and that's it, and so organizing it into a hub like this is going to be difficult, I promise you do have some type of rules, even if it's kind of just unspoken or subconscious. The way that you're organizing your research, there is kind of a method to the madness. Even when I talk to teams that are kind of, the prospect of getting organized is a little daunting. But the bottom line is we will help you with that. So we have a lot of import tools. If you have, like, I talked to a team a few months back that had over 1,000 historical projects saved in a shared drive, pretty organized, not perfect, but it was enough that we could import all of that mostly at once as a bulk import, and then just take another hour maybe to clean up the way that was imported into the system. So just kind of maybe take an hour or so and think about the ways that you are organizing your historical research now, even if there's not a whole lot of rules there. Anything helps really to set up. The first thing we do is a taxonomy inside of InsightsHub. So once you kind of set that up, divide your research into the programs. For some teams, the programs are just the name of the team lead, which is fine. Into different project types, qualitative, quantitative. I know that's how I used to think about it at the agency that I worked at. Others teams kind of have project or product lines. So it'll be like, product A, product B, product C. Just come up with like a basic kind of, schematic of what that looks like on your team. That will make the importing process, the onboarding process really, really easy. And we're around to support you in that, especially if you have a lot of stuff you want to import and you want to really make use of this quickly. It's a challenge, but there's the really the reward from just a little bit of work up front is really immense.
Got it. So put in a little bit of the time up front, and then it makes the process easier overall. So pretty true on other things too, right? Like not just research, like put in the work and you make your life easier. So
yeah, awesome. I mean, InsightsHub itself is kind of an example of that, because you can ideally, the earlier you start using it, the less kind of mess you're going to have to deal with later. And like I said, I see way too many teams that that shared drive is just like a dump of data. And they regret it, but better late than never.
Yeah, I see that too. And even, I see people relying on search in a lot of these repositories too. And
Yeah.
they still have to search and like, oh, what was that file called? And they're trying to find it and they
Yeah.
can't find it, so it takes forever. So I think an over reliant on the search functionality within like some of these drives and not having it, clearly the taxonomy and workflows and things definitely runs in, can create problems too.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. There were some other questions like, what is the goal of the research suite? I think I covered that early on, but largely, we want to provide our clients the suite of tools that they can use in their research, both on the quantitative and the qualitative side, and really being the one-stop shop for all their research needs. That's, largely the goal of continuing to advance research. That is our mission on the research suite, is how can we continue to advance research today, tomorrow, and beyond. So that's largely the goal. I know there was one more question is want to know what trends are for 2023. So we're actually going to be releasing a 2023 trends outlook. So we'll be releasing that, and then at the end of January, or towards the end of January, we've been doing an annual webinar with, last year it was with Steve Krause and John Last. We've been doing it with Steve Krause for the past few years. So we're planning to continue to do that. So at the end of January, keep an eye out for what, that webinar. We'll talk about some of those trends. And then separately, we're also releasing this, sort of trends outlook for market research and what that looks like. So I think Philip asked that. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, I'll display this here. So, and follow us on, of course, we'll be pushing on the LinkedIn socials for updates on not only that, but also other content as well. So I think with that, Nick, we can go ahead and wrap it up. If you have, questions, definitely, reach out to me every Friday at 11 Central. I do a live, most Fridays, I would say. Do a live show. This one is a holiday special. And then coming up on the 6th of January, just after the new year, going to be doing a webinar with Vivek Bhaskaran, Jamin Brazil, Lenny Murphy around, I guess not a webinar, it'll be on Live with Dan, but we're going to be covering, Chat GPT and the implications of data quality. So make sure you check that out. That'll be on the 6th. Of course, as we just showed, keep up with us on socials and we'll be pushing out everything there. And then with that, thank you, Nick. I appreciate your time and joining me today. And if you have questions, definitely reach out to us. We're more than happy to help via email, LinkedIn, or even, jump on a call. So with that, thanks, Nick. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Perfect.